What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vault Reviews, where we give you our opinions on some albums to check out and maybe some to avoid. I'm one of your hosts, Zan Morning, and our other host is Brent. Brent, say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Literally. All right, today we're going to review an album that I generally probably would not listen to. Brent, you brought this album to me. I'm not sure if you were a fan or if you were recommended this album, but that's Human by 3 Days Grace, which was released this year, 2015. So, Brent, I'll kind of give you the floor to start things off.
You know, we're trying to do some newer reviews than just, a lot of the old stuff, which is kind of what we've been doing. So I thought, hey, he thought highly of this. We'll give it a shot. I hadn't heard anything on it. Honestly, it's kind of a little bit like the Breaking Benjamin album we did. I don't think I liked it as much as that one.
Right.
But I'm actually still kind of a little bit optimistic because this debuted #1 in hard music when it first came out. I don't remember what month it came out. I forgot to put that down. And it actually debuted number 16 in the top 200.
That's still pretty good achievement.
Yeah, I'll take that considering all the crap that usually ends up on the Billboard 200. Mm-hmm. I'll take this one up there and, consider that a victory, at least a moral victory, if nothing else. But, I mean, there's some good stuff on here. What were just your overall impressions of it whenever you first started listening to it?
Well, let me backtrack a bit. When 3 Days Grace first came out several years ago, what did you think of them?
I never listened to them.
Yeah, I heard the singles, and I think, I had a friend that had the CD, and I gave it a listen, once, and, it's just, it's the same thing. It's the first thing I have written down here is radio rock. I mean, I think that's a great way to describe it, and there's not anything wrong with that. It's just that's not my cup of tea generally. But, like you said, we want to review as much as we can on here and give everything a fair shot. So that's the first thing I thought of this album was it's very radio rock friendly. It sounds like more of the same that they put out when they had those hit songs, which I can't even remember the names. Guys, I know if you're listening to this and you're a 3 Days Grace fan, or maybe you're just a diehard music fan, you remember the songs we're talking about that dominated the radio. What was it, mid 2000s, early 2000s to mid 2000s, probably, if I'm right on that. But yeah, just a lot of these songs are fairly catchy. They're fairly basic, and I think that's kind of the formula for music to appear on the radio and be popular. Do you agree with that stance?
Has to be, being a little formula on the radio, absolutely. This album has a little bit of that, and, we'll get into it a little bit later as we get on into it. And it was one thing that actually bugged me, and it was something, that I kind of mentioned even with, the Breaking Benjamin and even and the other one with, the Mumford & Sons and stuff. There seems to be this, if you're going to get on the radio, you have to kind of have this certain type song structure, and it seems like it's even, getting out of the bro country type music and getting into everything, which is kind of sad. But at the same time, there was some good stuff on here, so I don't want to beat it up too bad because, it was better than a lot of stuff out there, I think.
So let's kick things off with vocals. What'd you think of the vocals?
Vocals, I was actually kind of torn because I actually really enjoyed them for the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 songs. And then by the end of it, it was just started getting a little too emo. And I don't mean the screamo emo type stuff. Just it was like he was trying too hard and almost came across a little bit whiny.
That's exactly what I have written down. Word for word, whiny. I like the vocals as far as it sounds like he's singing with an emotion. I mean, it doesn't sound fake. Sometimes that stuff sounds fake. This really doesn't sound that fake to me. And it's lyrical. It's very lyric driven. And like you said, it does, I understand that maybe this is these are personal things to him, which for me to pick up on the lyrics is something that's amazing. So that should tell you something about how crisp and clean the vocals are on this album. But it's very lyric driven, and the lyrics are, I don't know if he's, coming from, like I said, a personal standpoint, or I could see this album maybe helping people get through things, by the lyrics and the music and whatnot. But yeah, the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, he's either really whiny or this was written for 14 and 15-year-old kids that are going through tough times. It sounds like that was, even when I was that age, I didn't listen to that kind of stuff, but I can kind of see, does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit. I think some of the lyrics, especially on some of the songs, are quite a bit more mature than that. But some of them, and the way he sings them, I kind of got that impression too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean like, maybe the mature subjects, and it wasn't really kiddish or anything. It was just kind of cheesy and whiny, like you said. And I mean, I shouldn't say that because maybe there's some really deep lyrics to this guy. I'm not sure. So, but for me, like when I'm going through tough times, I just want to like throw on some Cannibal Corpse or Nile or something like that. I mean, I generally don't like whiny music. You know what I mean?
Right. And I understand that. I'm a big lyrics guy. I've said it on pretty much, I think, every review we've ever done. And that was honestly one reason why I enjoyed this album. I think a little bit more than you did. But yeah, towards the end, it definitely starts getting a little bit whiny. And I actually have on here it reminded me of early Linkin Park.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison.
And like if you remember the One Step Closer album and then the next one, that is honestly what this album really, really reminded me of. It's like the vocal stylings and everything.
And now that you say that, even the lyrics too, like some of the lyrics, like I liked Linkin Park. I still don't mind the first couple albums, but I've always thought those lyrics were like kind of cheesy, just to me. Again, maybe I shouldn't say that because I can't judge people's personal lives or emotions when they go into writing these songs, but I know you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I mean, one of my big notes is the lyrics are largely relatable and they're decently written, and that's actually, it's a strength and it's a weakness because, like you said, it's stuff that seems kind of whiny at this point, to you, and the fact they are largely relatable almost makes them generic in a sense, if you can understand what I'm trying to say. At the same time, they're written well enough that if it is a situation you relate to, I think it can help. Especially on a song like The End Is Not the Answer.
Yeah.
Suicide's been kind of and depression anyway, not necessarily just suicide, but depression in general has been largely, it's starting to be talked about more. And we're hearing a lot more about it. And we're seeing, especially when you're looking like the soldiers with PTSD and stuff like that, you're seeing a lot of people talking about sometimes they're choosing that the end is the answer. And, for somebody who's facing that choice, a song like that might help. Now, personally, I don't like the song, and I want to so bad because the lyrics are good. There are people, I'm sure we've all met them, who do suffer with depression, and we know them. And it's like, hey, the end's not the answer. We can help. But at the same time, the song just bugs the crap out of me. And I want to like it so bad, I just can't.
So one thing I wanted to say before we moved on to the musical elements of this album is, we're kind of riding the fence on the vocals as far as like the lyric content and whether it's too whiny or if it actually is going to help people get through something. And either way that we end up standing on that, I'm not going to count that against this album as a knock because to me, it's more about the music, and that's something I could overlook if the music is good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. If the music's great, a lot of the vocal stuff doesn't matter a whole lot. And honestly, that was one of kind of the weaker points of this album to me, was just musically. It's not badly done. It's not poorly played. It's just not really anything fancy. There's a couple songs that are different. One of them that is different, The Real You, would be awesome if I wasn't expecting kind of the piano on the last song of this album whenever I got to like song 3. I told myself, well, there's going to be a piano on here and kind of a depressing, whiny song. Sure enough.
There it is.
Yeah. And so, and like I said, I'm not taking this away. There is, if you're a fan of kind of the pop radio, I say pop, it's hard pop, I guess you'd call it. But if you're a fan of that type stuff, then you're probably honestly going to enjoy this.
And this might be an album, too, as kind of a gateway, that maybe they hear this and then they start venturing into some heavier stuff. Maybe not. Maybe this is your thing, and that's fine. Like I said, we're always here to just give you straightforward opinions on these and try to be as unbiased as possible. Yeah. So on the music for me, the first thing I'll start with is production. Excellent. Spot on. You can hear everything pretty well. So, yeah, moving on. Not very innovative musically, not very technical. And pretty basic, and that's what fits into radio rock, in my opinion. I mean, that's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear, you know, Necrophagus or Dillinger Escape Plan or Yngwie Malmsteen playing on the, you know, many people that just cannot grasp a lot of the musicianship in some of those technical bands like that. So, and that's fine. You know, this is just straightforward rock. There's some cool riffs here and there. You know, they're kind of spread out and kind of hard to find, thrown, you know, they might be a little bit short and they might be kind of randomly thrown in several of these songs, but a couple of cool riffs to find. But like I said, overall, just bland, you know, just it's, I don't think it's even as good, even close to being as good musically as the Breaking Benjamin album that we reviewed not too long ago. Yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, I can understand why people would latch onto this. It's very easy to listen to. And like we said, going back to the lyrics, you know, it's just a perfect combination for a radio rock album to really help people get through things, I think. So what else you got on the music?
As far as music goes, like you said, the production's really good. I mean, it's solid. The recording's great. Everything as far as that's really, really good. You're absolutely right. As far as like technicality and everything, the closest thing you have to any type of solos on the very first song, Human Race. And I mean, it's not bad. It's not anything that is going to blow your mind, I don't think. It's not bad. The song's kind of catchy. The only song that really just truly, truly stood out to me was the song I Am Machine.
Yep, same here. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was actually a really good song. Like, I could put that on, you know, my playlist and actually enjoy it when it came on. Other than that, it was just, I wanted to like a few of them, like Fallen Angel, just because the lyrics are really nice. But at the same time, it's just one of those, the lyrics are, they're also very, very similar throughout the entire album. I know we've kind of talked about the lyrics and stuff, but to me, that's about it. The song Car Crash is a decent tune.
Yeah, I have that one down as well.
And honestly, that was one of those that, lyrically speaking, I have wanted to basically play this song for so many people I've met that it's actually unreal. And if you listen to the song, you'll understand what I'm saying, because everybody knows somebody who, it's like watching a car crash and you don't know what to do about it.
And if you want to use that as an example, you know, I think that's something that people would actually probably listen to. I mean, we could go into a whole other subject about people giving any kind of music a chance when you recommend it. But I guess what I mean by that is the style of music and the way it's presented in the lyrics, easy to understand.
Yep.
That's going to be a lot easier for somebody to listen to if you want to suggest that, like you mentioned a minute ago, than say if you're going to walk up to, hey, check out this new Carcass album. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and that, you know, maybe that's something you should do. I mean, it's something great you can share with everybody if you think everybody can relate. So the only other song I had on here, we mentioned all the songs, but the only other song I'll mention was Tell Me Why. I had that one on there as a decent song, but anything else?
No, that's pretty much what I've got. So let's get to the ratings.
All right, 1 star being the worst, 5 star being the best on the Vault ratings. I'm going to give this 2.5 stars. Average. That's pretty much what it is. It's a solid radio rock album with clean vocals, good production, and lyrics that can maybe help people get through some things. To me, you know, it got a little stale, just the same whiny kind of stuff over and over again. But hey, it made it onto the billboards. That's, you know, like you said, it's a victory for rock music in general. And I can definitely see why people will latch onto this album and want to check it out. And like I said earlier, also, it could be a gateway to other heavier music or different kinds of rock music later on. So what do you got?
As far as ratings for me, I'm going to give it a 3, a little bit higher than what you gave it. I think it's a little bit with the lyrics and stuff. Like I said, I enjoyed them. I know some people who have really related to this album, and maybe that's swaying my opinion just a little bit. There again, I'm a big lyrics guy. If somebody's got good lyrics, I can overlook some stuff, but I'm going to give it a good solid 3. I can easily understand why people would enjoy this. It's not for me. I know it's not for you, Zan. I prefer, you know, a little bit harder, maybe a little more technical, if not harder. Just something a little less kind of radio friendly, generic, I guess is the best way to say it. And I'll say there's a couple good songs on here I really like, and there's some really good touching lyrics on a couple of the songs, if you're a lyrics person. So I think a 3 is a very good, solid score. I would be hard pressed to give it a whole lot above that at any time, just because you get the big sweeping chords, and you can tell exactly when they're going to happen. And I reviewed this on the first time I listened to it, and by song 4, I knew exactly when it was all going to happen and how the bridge was going to go and everything. And,
Exactly.
And that, honestly, to me, that's a detriment to everything, to the album and these lyrics and everything. So I think a 3 is a good solid score, but I couldn't go much above that.
Yeah, that averages out to 2 3/4. I think that's spot on. And one thing that I've started doing is by reviewing different kinds of albums that I generally would not listen to, and listening to different kinds of music out and about here and there. My music, I guess, acceptance has grown way more. Like, basically, this album, we'll just take this for example. There was 1 or 2 songs that I really liked on here, so maybe I didn't like the rest of the album, but if I owned the album, maybe 1 or 2 of these songs I'd throw on my iPod, and be happy with it. And there's even some pop music. Believe it or not, there's some pop music I've heard that I really like. I know it's groundbreaking, earth-shattering here, but not to go on a rant here. We're going to end it on this. The one thing that I just still cannot listen to is bro country. No matter how much I listen to it, I try, and it just sucks. So, anything else on this album or bro country?
Oh, as far as this album, check out I Am Machine, check out Car Crash, check out The End Is Not the Answer. If you like
those 3 songs are by far the best.
Yeah, if you like those songs, check out the other album. If you're a fan of kind of your slightly harder pop music, like pop rock, check it out. But if you're looking for something a whole lot like, technical, a little harder, then no, that's probably going to be your cup of tea. But at least give those 3 songs a shot, because I think they're at least worth a listen to. As far as bro country, just don't. Just say no. It's like drugs. Bro country is like meth. Just say no. It will rot your brain.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. And that will close the show. You can send us an email, send us hate mail if you're a bro country fan, or if you're a fan of any other kind of genre and you want to send us something to review, thevaultmusic1@gmail.com, or you can get a hold of us on Twitter @thevaultmusic1, facebook.com/thevaultrvws. You can find us on YouTube and Podomatic if you just search The Vault Reviews. And with that, we'll see you next time on the next album we review. See you later.
Peace.